Hello. I hope this is working. I may have to stop and start, unfortunately, but because I don't think I set up the microphone the right way. Um, but in any case, hello. Welcome. Happy Friday to everyone. How are you guys doing? Check in. Tell me where you're at, where you're calling from. I've got a little background music this time, so if it's annoying, let me know. As usual, if you want to. Oh, wait, no, I should say who I am. I'm Spencer, if this is your first time. We are sketching today, just hanging out. Hello. It's cold, so I'm wearing my funky hat here. So I'm Spencer, industrial designer. I've been doing this for about a decade or so. Every Friday, I stream at 9 a.m. Pacific, which is 10 a.m. my time. I think that's 5 UTC, 5 p.m. UTC. So if you want to catch it, this is the time, the place. Welcome. Usually we just hang out and draw some stuff. So I'm going to rely on you guys for suggestions about, let's see, what to draw and all that good stuff. So I hope the audio is okay. Like I said, I don't think I switched the microphone over to my... let's see. Yeah, I don't think I switched it over. So maybe I can cut over here and see if that sounds a little better. But I was kind of in a rush and got started. What's up, Mao? So yeah, today I'm going to be focusing on digital sketch stuff. So if that's something you're interested in, this is the place for you. We are going to be, I think it might be working actually. How does it sound? Sound okay? Hey, Tola. Where's everybody from? I'm from Jamaica, but this stream is happening from Utah, Salt Lake City. I know there's not a lot of Black people there, but I'm here. Diversity starts somewhere, right? So yeah, today I'm just going to be doing some digital stuff. I'll kind of show you, kick things off with my Procreate brushes, which are available if you guys are interested. But like I was saying, let's see, how do we do this again? Sorry, I'm still getting used to my controller here. Oh, here we go. So let's go cut, key. Nope, that did not work. What's happening here? Okay, never mind. But if you do want to contribute somehow, my Venmo is at Spencer Nugent, and my PayPal is spencer@sketchaday.com. So if that's something you're interested in, not required, but some of you have asked in the past. Okay, so yeah, today I'm using Procreate, and I just wanted to kind of show you my brushes. So these are available on my site. If you use the code FIRSTTIMER, if you've never purchased anything from the site before, you get a 20% discount. So normally $10, but they're $7.99 if you... The music's being weird. If you use that code. So it's just FIRSTTIMER. FIRSTTIMER. Boom. Can't really pin these in the chat, so you'll have to use that. But it's just sketchaday.com/store. Let's see, sketchaday.com/store. You can check it out. There's a bunch of other stuff there as well. I misspelled that in my haste. So let me remove that. Okay. It's sketchaday.com/store. Yeah, so you can check it out there. All right. So the iPad came out, 3 years ago now? iPad Pro. Kind of changed a lot of things. I used to use a Wacom tablet quite a bit. So let's see. Okay, that works. So I used to use a Wacom tablet quite a bit, and then iPad Pro came out, and I started using that. So that's what I sketch with most of the time, just in case you're wondering. So this app is available on iPad Pro. I also use Fresco from time to time. I'm happy to go over that a little bit if you want on the live stream, or maybe save that for another time. But just wanted to show my brushes. So, and of course, I'm waiting for suggestions on what you want to see. So these are my Sketchaday brushes. I've kind of added a few things to mine. Like I added this newsprint and splatter brush. But basically, this is what you get. So you get a ballpoint pen, what I call the Spencil. So that's my digital pencil that I like to use. It has a little bit of jitter in the settings, so it feels a little bit more natural, not as digital. There's also the ballpoint pen, which I'll show you, a little marker brush, round brush, and ink pen, which is kind of my solid whole line brush. And then I have this round brush that I use for fills. So I'll just start with the ballpoint and kind of show you guys. And just to make this feel more like a ballpoint pen, and let's zoom in here as well. Well, I guess you can't really see me zooming in. All right, so this is kind of the ballpoint pen. And let me do a couple strokes and kind of show you why I like it. So I can lightly sketch on the screen. Okay, so I can go from light to really dark just by the pressure that I put. And so you can see there's a little bit of grain right there. Just a little bit of grain in it. So it has a more natural feel, just like a ballpoint. If I want to build up pressure and value, I can do that as well by how much I'm pushing on the screen, but also the closeness of the lines and so forth. It kind of has a little bit of a pencil feel as well, but I like to think of it more as a ballpoint. So I kind of modeled this after sketching on a piece of paper with a ballpoint pen because I like that texture, right? So that's the origin of this pen. So depending on what I'm sketching, I kind of like to use it from time to time. It has a nice ability or feel to allow me to kind of play with opacity and so forth. All right, so that's a ballpoint pen. Here's the Spencil. So maybe I'll do a couple strokes here with the ballpoint pen just to show you the difference. So a couple strokes here, maybe some shading like that. And then here's the Spencil. Okay, like so. And with each of these brushes in Procreate, you do have opacity controls. So on the left side of the screen, I can slide this up or down, and you'll notice the profile of the brush. If you look at it, it's not exactly a perfect circle. And the reason I did that is I wanted some variation in the stroke, much like you would have on paper. And so just trying to mimic that. So on the edges, a little bit, what's the word? Transparent, but also has a nice definitive feel to it. And just to show you the difference, so the Spencil and the Inker are similar, except the Inker, as you'll see, the profile is perfectly round. So it's meant for me to kind of clean up drawings if I want to do some tighter line work. So just to clarify, this is ballpoint here, and then we have Spencil here, and then I'll show you the difference. So these are the Spencil lines, and then there's the Inker line, and it's really subtle, but it is a lot crisper on those edges. So whenever I need to do like a nice ink drawing, still with that variable line weight stroke, I use this brush. So that's why I use that one. All right, let me clear this, and on the new layer. So I also have this Prismacolor brush, which is different than the ballpoint because I can actually tilt it. It's also different than the stock pencil that you'll find in Procreate, which again is why I created it. But I wanted some way to say, let's say we're drawing just a quick EV. Someone requested an EV. I'm not sure what that means, electric vehicle, autonomous, but I'm not going to do a full rendering of one on the stream. But let's say I was doing one and I just wanted to do just some quick shading on top of this concept sketch. Just like this, maybe a little bumper area or something. It's a progressive design, shall we say. I'm not sure if that's the front or the back, but let's say we did something like this here. We'll keep them guessing. The nice thing about this is I can actually tilt it on the side and start to shade in. Okay, and just get some quick tones. So I'm actually tilting the, I'm going to show you with the overhead camera here, just so you get a sense of what I'm doing. There'll be some glare on the screen, just fair warning. But let's see. Okay, so there's the overhead. I'm going to zoom in. You'll see all the stuff on my table. Weird blue light, but I don't know why it looks weird. That's odd. My apologies. But I'm actually taking the pen and tilting it as I shade. Okay, so that's what I'm doing there. All right. So that's kind of the Prismacolor, and much like the ballpoint, we have a little bit of texture in here as well. So if I need to shade on the tip on the side, I can do that. So here's the difference between the Prismacolor and the stock pencil that you'll get. So if I go to, let's see, HB pencil, it's not quite the same in terms of the taper that I'm getting with the pressure sensitivity. You do get similar texture, but there's a few subtle changes, additions that I made that I personally like, and makes me feel like, okay, this is actually, you know, kind of like using a real colored pencil. So you feel free to check that one out. It's always hard to stop when you start drawing something. I'm like, oh man, I want to actually do a good job on that one. Okay, so next one I want to show you guys. So I do have this marker brush. So let's say I did something like simple cube shape on my page, and I wanted to just quickly shade that in with some marker. I can jump to this marker brush, and I'll do this on a new layer just to make it a little easier for me. And let's pick a color like this orange. So I can go light, skip my lines. Okay, it has a little bit of texture that you'd expect from a marker tip. And so I can go over like so and build up my stroke just like I would with a marker. And then for whatever I don't need, I like to just kind of erase it, but also keep that natural feel. So it's a brush I like. It's a little bit weird in that if you do draw vertically, it doesn't orient itself to the tip of the stylus, and I think that's just a limitation of the iPad right now. But I can always rotate my screen much like I would a piece of paper, and shade that in. So that's the marker brush, and sometimes I'll use that if I just want like a nice quick kind of sketchy paper feel to things. But most of the time I actually use my round brush, which is similar to this marker. So I could do similar things. It just has a cleaner profile to it, and I also get the ability to adjust my pressure mid-stroke, so I can go heavier and then lighter, and you'll see that there's a taper to how much pigment goes down. It's also kind of interesting if I'm filling in an area and I want to just have some texture. If I just vary the texture as I go, like so, I can kind of have maybe a bit more painted feel to something. So that's what I like about that brush. And I think the last couple are the soft airbrush and the round brush. Round brush, pretty straightforward. If I'm filling in an area with a solid color, I like to use that. If I'm trying to build up a nice soft gradient, I'll use the airbrush and adjust the size as I go to get that intense core in the middle, for example. So that's kind of how I use my brushes. So again, if you want to check those out, sketchtoday.com/store. If you're watching the stream, the code will be in the description, as well as I'll be posting the sketches that we do today. And those will be available for you to download as they are every week. So again, appreciate you being here. Appreciate the support. So with that, looks like we have a couple suggestions. And if you have any questions about Procreate as we go, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Let's see. Okay, we got a couple retracted messages. Weird. Anyhow, so if there's something specific you want to see, give me some suggestions. Otherwise, I'm just going to draw, maybe start off with a shoe just to kick things off here. So I'm going to go back to my gallery and create a new document. Usually I'll do like 11 by 17 or just the regular screen size. So I'm going to use my ballpoint pen to kind of kick things off. If I ever do any work in the concept art entertainment field, yes, I have done some work. Just for a small TV show, I did like a set piece. So it's for like a spaceship or some alien technology thing. So that was pretty fun. All right, so I'll do a quick shoe to start and kind of get the profile. I don't know if you guys saw the new Nike shoes that came out this week, but they're pretty cool. They are pretty cool. So a lot of times I'll just start kind of rough, and digital sketching is interesting because it's so easy to manipulate things, and you don't really have to get it right right off the bat. So it's been interesting to see how sketching has evolved and changed over the years, as it were. So I'll just do this quick kind of streetwear shoe concept. Maybe there's just a couple laces here, little slot. I don't know if this would actually work, but let's see, 1, 2, and then maybe it comes back over toward the front. Kind of a sock construction. And maybe this is integrated into the side here, like so. Another one, something like this. Hello from Rome, Italy. We have Robert. What's up, Rob? Robert. Actually, these need to face this way. So I've been working on updating my portfolio this week, and let me tell you, it's been a nightmare kind of going through over a decade's worth of work and trying to decide, okay, because I have my own design consultancy business. And so I just figured, you know what, let me update and show kind of what I've done and where I've been the last decade and put that out there. But yeah, it's been interesting trying to go through all that stuff. Designers, especially if you're prolific, like you can get a lot done in 10 years, let me tell you. And it's quite the experience trying to go through and edit, and yeah, it's been interesting to say the least. Can I suggest some beginner level 3D product designing software? I don't know about beginner level, but I can tell you about some free stuff if you're interested. So there is a product called Fusion 360, and it's actually free for students. And if you're a hobbyist or a small business making under, I think it's 100,000 a year, you can use it for free. So that's what I'm using. I used to use SolidWorks more, but I am trying to learn some new software. So that's going to be my weekend this weekend. But that's also what I'd recommend, just because it is free. Software can be really expensive. You'll probably also want to check out Keyshot as well, and that is 3D rendering software. that a lot of industrial designers use. It's pretty intuitive, easy to use. So you can always check that out as well. Other than that, people use Rhino quite a bit, Rhino. I haven't used it in years, honestly. Just because of the nature of the products I do, I don't typically need to do super complex surfacing. And so I don't necessarily need that. I used to use Alias quite a bit as well. It is let's see, it's 10:25 a.m. here where I am. So yeah. I think we'll keep this sketch black and white just for simplicity's sake. Maybe a little bit of gray, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. I know you guys gave me some suggestions, and I'd rather do a few sketches than just the one. But with shoes, I usually start out kind of rough like this, and then I'll actually kind of overlay things when I'm ready. And at that point, then I'll do my super clean line work. So let me show you what I mean. For example, if I create a new layer and then adjust the opacity. So that's just tapping on the layer with 2 fingers, and then I can adjust the opacity all the way down. And then on a new layer, take something like my stencil or my inker, and hello, Vicari. And then let me adjust the brush size here. So the 2 sliders on the left, one is to, no worries if you're late, it is saved and recorded. Flip-flops are tricky. Okay, maybe I'll do some flip-flops. We'll call this the shoe stream. We can also do maybe a futuristic shoe of some sort. So, but this is what I mean. So I'll come over and then kind of define things a bit more if I need to on this sketch. So usually I'll kind of start rough like this, and then I'll get it the way I want. Question for you, would it be more helpful for you to see my hand as I draw, or is this okay for the stream? I'm trying to figure out a way to do it. I have like 3 cameras I could set up, but the problem this morning was, and yes, there's always a problem, it seems, but the problem this morning was that I couldn't quite figure out the lighting on my screen so that there wouldn't be a glare. Like, you guys would hate it right now if I turned it on. So I just decided, you know what, let me just keep it simple. We'll go with what we have. But I am curious if you feel like it would be beneficial. All right, bye, Swam. Get some sleep. It'll be recorded, so don't worry. All right, so maybe we have this like kind of molded cage. I don't know if this would work though, because we kind of need to flex in this area of the foot. So maybe those 2 shouldn't be connected. So these are all things I think about as I'm drawing something like this. So maybe there's still these parts, but maybe they're not connected. This could be a soft TPU outsole or tooling. Something like that. Maybe that's just a feature line. A bit of both. Okay, good to hear. So I'll try and set it up if I do another, or not if, but when I do another digital stream, I'll try and set it up so that you can see. But right now, if I were to put it on right now, there'd be so much glare. It's wild. So next time for sure, I'll try it. We'll try it out. Also trying out the music. Hope that's okay. Hope it's not too loud. Appreciate all the feedback and appreciate you watching as always. All right, so this is basically what I do as far as getting the line weight, or not line weight, but the line work in. So I'll just come in and take some time and just be a bit more deliberate and cautious. But once this is in, color is easy to do. So that's why, let's see if that goes on the outside, that'd be in. So that's why I kind of take my time to do the line work. I've always considered myself more of a line-based artist than a painter. So although painting is something I enjoy, it's not my forte, so to speak. Oh, let's see. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining again. We are working digitally in Procreate, if you're wondering. If you've never used it before, check it out. Kicked off the stream by talking about these brushes I'm using, which are brushes I created. You're welcome to check that out in my store. There's also the 500 sketches project. You can purchase the PDFs there as well if you're interested to help support the effort. And I also have a limited edition print. I'm only doing 100 of them. Admittedly, haven't sold very many yet, but I'm counting on you guys. So, and I will do something special for the stream. So if you do order one on the stream, I'll give you a free set of the brushes along with the order. So if that's something you're interested in, if you're international, you'll have to DM me just about the shipping, because it is going to cost a bit more. So let me know. But otherwise, yeah, we're here doing our thing. I'm going to put 3 stripes on this because I like Adidas, or Adidas, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And I'm probably murdering this, so if you're an Adidas designer, my apologies. I actually went there, was it 2 years ago now? Wow. And did a workshop with them for a week, and that was pretty fun. All right, let's see. I'm pretty sure that one can set Procreate brush to respect the angle and tilting. It's when tilting, but I'm talking about rotating, just like you would a chisel tip. So orienting it with regards to the rotation. And I'm not quite sure that's a thing. But maybe they've updated it and I'm wrong. I've been known to be wrong. So I'm happy to concede that possibility that I am wrong somehow. I feel like I need to do a video about sleight of hand when it comes to sketching, or how to trick people, because there's a lot of tricks we artists use to kind of make the sketch look good or believable, even if it's, you know, not entirely thought out. Or maybe I'll include that in my book. I'll probably do that instead and then talk about it after. But yeah, there are a lot of things we do. All right, so there's my little bit cleaner line drawing. I'll turn up the opacity on this lower layer so you can see the difference. So there is my initial sketch, and then there's my overlay. Okay, I'm actually going to rotate. Oops. I'm going to rotate my layer just a little bit here. Now, one of the cool things you can do with Procreate, so once I tap this arrow, I'm using the 12.9 inch iPad, the big one. Although I think if I upgrade when they release the new ones, I'm not convinced I'll upgrade, maybe next year, but I think I'll get the smaller one. In any case, I'll probably review it here on the channel. Just buy one, return it. They don't give me free stuff. But back to my sketch. One of the coolest things I can do is I can tap this distort button. So now, oops, not distort, warp. So when warp is selected, I now have a grid, and maybe I should start training people how to do sketch workshops, because I get this question all the time. And then you can pay me for a consult. But I can actually warp the sketch. So if something's off, or if I want to, kind of change things a little bit, I can always do that. Maybe just the height or how much this angle's in. So there's a lot of stuff you can do just by warping. And here's before and after. So before and after. And I'm going to stick with the after for now. So here's kind of how I use my brushes and set up my sketch. So on a new layer, and I'll upload the layered Procreate and PSD file if you guys want to play with it. I just ask that you don't pirate my work or distribute it. I've had a lot of people do that over the years. I'm not saying you're going to, I'm just asking nicely. So with the solid brush, what I like to do is kind of come in over like so, and just get a nice outline in, paint and erase, or if you want to be careful, just follow the perimeter like so, all the way up. And this is the reason I say I'm more of a line artist, is I'm not so concerned about how the color flows, more that the lines are good, because I can always come in and just erase enough, and the line kind of compensates for where the color is, overlapped too much or whatever. Kind of works. We'll add black to the outsole, don't worry. But the tooling, we just want to get this in here like so. And I'm going to actually continue the red. I like the red as the entire tooling. Feels kind of fresh, different. And for the laces, I'm going to go crazy colors here with a teal. So all the colors I'm layering as I go. And I know the red is behind the blue, and then I want the upper material here to be behind the laces. So when I do create that layer, I'll make sure it's behind the teal. But to answer your question, Rodrigo, on sketching workshops, is just be yourself. That's all I'll say. Be yourself, show your work, do your thing, you'll be fine. All right. Shade that in. Okay, so now we got some color, base color. I'm debating if I want to use a texture here, and I just might. I think I will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit add. I'm going to take a photo, and this is my studio. Yep, here's where we are. And let's take a photo of this felt. I'm going to use that photo. I'm just going to drop it in on my layer. I think I've done this on a video before, but I'm going to drop this in and just put it in a place I want it to be. And I can actually stretch, so I can start to warp this texture to the shoe, just so it feels like it flows a bit more. Like so. So now you can see the wool look here is actually flowing kind of with the shoe. I don't know if chat's frozen or if this thing has died, but okay. Once I'm committed to that, I'm going to tap this magic wand, and then I'm going to take the saturation of the material down, and I'm going to up the brightness just a little bit, and let's drop this behind our laces. So now the laces are on top, and I can just erase what I don't need You could also use the selection tool, but I'm just going to use the erase tool so that I now isolate the texture where I want it to be. But importantly, you want to make sure that you warp, oops, little accident there. You want to make sure that you warp your textures so that they feel like they're actually wrapping on the object. Okay. Just a little tip there. Actually, here's one thing I can do just to make this a bit easier. I'm going to tap on this layer, layer 4. Tap on it once and I have these options. I can hit select. So hit select, and now I've selected the area that I had painted red. Jump back to my inserted image layer, crank up my eraser size, and now I'm just going to erase what I don't need. Now it looks like the red is a little bit over on this back portion, so I'm just going to be careful, kind of test it out a little bit as we go as well. I'm good there. New stroke. All right, that looks pretty good. So boom, just like that. And now we have kind of this wool material or texture on top. Now I'm going to crank the opacity down just a little bit. Feels kind of weird. Also, my screen looks really weird for some reason. Hopefully the colors and so forth are showing up okay for you. But if not, be sure to check out the image. I'll post it again when we're done here so you can download it. So with the soft airbrush tool, this is where I like to start to add my, let's see, my highlights and shadows, if you will. And that's going to happen on top of the colors and textures. So using the soft airbrush, and we'll pick like a dark gray here. I'm going to create a profile. And we'll do it over everything to start. But I'm just going to airbrush along the perimeter and create a shadow core, slightly backed off the edge of everything. Just like that, slightly backed off. And that's going to help communicate the roundness of that shape. Same thing on the upper here. Just a little bit of that. I may actually do that one on a new layer because, yeah, I'm going to do this one on a new layer because I want to do some finessing to the highlights and shadows that we'll get. Okay, just like that. And just kind of paint on top. If you set your layer blending mode to multiply, and if that was too quick, you just tap on the little letter on the layer, little letter N, you'll see. And then I can now drag up to multiply. You can do multiply, color burn. It just depends on what makes sense or what looks good for you. And then sometimes what I like to do with the highlights is pick like a slightly yellow-white. And then on a new layer with the blending mode set to add, I can come in and we can paint. I'm going to use a smaller airbrush here and just paint right on the top. Okay. And it just gives it a little bit warmer feel than you typically would get. Okay. So on the perimeters here as well, just ever so slightly coming in and hitting. You know, if this is resting on the ground, we're going to have some reflected light right next to that shadow core. Okay, so these are some of the things that you can do that I think will make a difference in your sketches as you go. And believe it or not, we're almost to a point that we can call it a wrap. But on the red, for example, there's a couple things I want to do here. I'm going to take some gray. We'll adjust the blending mode as we go. Oops, wrong brush. I'm going to pick the soft airbrush, nice and big. And I'm going to kind of paint in the middle here. The reason for that is I want to, oops, painted on the wrong layer. Okay. New layer, set this to multiply, jump back to paint. Now I'm going to start toning this midsection just a little bit so that we have some variation in the tone. and on these kind of lace areas as well. Suggests that they're catching. Okay, yep, on the right layer, catching a little bit of light. So airbrush that. If you want, you could take like the round brush as well and do that. So it kind of has a little shinier look to it. Actually, this would be dark, that would be light. So we'll have a little bit of light in here. Like so. I can change the blending mode to add, for example, play with the opacity. Okay, just like that. Now, some of you might be wondering, how do I know where to put stuff and why and when? You know, part of it is, I think, has to do with just figuring out your style and figuring out what works for you. My screen just went dark for some reason. Okay, that's weird. Oh, by my screen, I mean the screen I'm looking at personally. Just kind of went a little bit dark on me. We'll add some white just to these edges so that we know there's a profile here. It's not just a flat thing. Are we on time? Okay, we do have time for one more sketch, so we'll be all right. All right, a couple little, I like adding texture dots just to show that, you know, the thing isn't perfectly smooth. So sometimes I'll come in and do this either just by hand like I am now, or I'll make a brush or take a brush. Sometimes I'll take a picture and just apply that on top of everything. So it's different ways to do it for sure. You just kind of have to figure out what works for you. And there's a saying that goes, you know, great artists steal or something like that. And it's not about, you know, necessarily copying someone, but I think there's value in, you know, observing how we do things and then going, oh, maybe I could try that. So there's oh yeah, he's in the channel, Mao. Shout out to Mao. He taught me a new sketch technique that I've been eager to try out. And so I'm definitely going to steal it. I'll give him, you know, credit and props and all that. But when I do it, you guys will see it. But it's a pretty cool, like, watercolor sketch technique. What do I use multiply for? So multiply I use for if I'm trying to create shadows on top of like color, like you see me doing here. Multiply will actually take the base color that you have and take the black and almost create like a darker value for that color as you're drawing. So instead of me having to pick the right red, I can use multiply. And now, as far as and I don't know the technical explanation for how it works. I just know it takes anything that's monochromatic, like black, and it will blend nicely enough with the color on top so it doesn't feel like you're painting with black. Okay. Do a left hand challenge one video. that would be a complete train wreck, man, but I'm down. I am down. All right. So we've got kind of our upper that's more wool. I'm going to kind of make this sock section a little darker. So just taking this round brush and let's use this layer. I'll tap on it, hit select. And then on top on layer 13, also I should say I'm notoriously bad at naming my layers. So I move quick, I just create a bunch of layers and then I just throw stuff down. And sometimes that comes back to bite me, but you know, I work with it. I think it takes so much time to label stuff and name it. So if you do download this file, think Procreate crashed. So here's a bug in Procreate. It is officially crashed. So I'm gonna cut here, then reboot this app portion because it is buggy. So the bug is when I tap the color and drag it to then dump the color onto the layer, sometimes it'll just like wig out and then the app will just freeze. So that's what just happened. Don't blame me on the iPad. Let's see. So for example, the question about multiply. So now if I take this gray that I just painted in, and then tap the N, which gives me the options. Here's an example of how these look. So there's this one called darker color. It's not really doing anything. Linear burn. Okay, so linear burn. Now you can see, oops, you can kind of see the texture underneath, but it's also kind of intense. Just depends on what you're after. I can always adjust the opacity. So there's that, right? There's color burn. So it looks a little bit lighter. Some of the blacks are showing through a bit more. There's darken, which isn't doing anything. Sorry, I just heard a random sound in my studio. I have no idea what's happening. Anyhow, and then there's multiply. So multiply for me seems a little less intense, but we could even try linear burn and let's adjust the opacity there. But what I'm going to do on top of this now is just take my pencil and some dark lines because I want to create some ribbing on this. So just a series of lines here. Oh, beat dropped. Remember when dubstep was a thing? Is it still a thing? That was a wild time, man. How are you guys doing though? I feel like January has been 6 months of my life. It feels like it went by fast. It was a lot. Like, how's everyone doing? A lot of stuff's happening in the world, and I'm not going to talk politics, but I'm just saying, a lot of stuff's happening. It's crazy. Crazy. Wait, is that okay? It's right layer. So I just have a light gray just hitting the tops of these, and I'll hit just one line going down like so, just to show that, you know, there's some dimensionality to this at a distance, and the opacity is so low that again, this is one of those tricks because I know when I zoom out, I don't have to worry about, oh, did I create the right gradient here? Is this working? Is this the right side? What's happening? Oh my gosh. So I'm looking for just general effect, if you will. Get a little shadowing here with the laces. Like so. In fact, under the laces, we need to have some shadowing on the shoe as well. Just to show that they're on top. I'm using the round brush in case you're wondering. So that round brush I told you about where I can kind of paint in and adjust opacity as I need. If I need to add some texture, it's a great brush for that. Right, so if I want to just even make this not feel so much like a photo, I can do that. Or if this logo is just kind of recessed in here, just a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so all those things kind of help the sketch feel more three-dimensional and less static. And then on the laces, we want to go on top now. So hopefully you can see how this works. It's like solid color. If I'm blending, that can go over a texture, but it's solid color, highlight shadow, solid color, highlight shadow, and the sketch stays on that top layer. Right, so the initial sketch, layer 2 and 3, those are on the top. So on this layer, I'm taking a little bit of dark. So if I put the dark and the light on opposite sides here, we can even, as we're shading in this in, have a little bit of jitter in how we apply it. And just to suggest that maybe there's some texture there, If you want to get like super creative, you can always. So this is a newsprint texture that I found in the stock library. So even for the laces and the shadow on the laces, I can take this texture along with that round brush, and now I have, at least hinting at some sort of texture here. So that's the power of I think these apps, and the fact that you do have a tablet. It's kind of like having a full studio, if you will. It's kind of fun. All right, a little bit more here. And we should be in a pretty good spot. So let's get the bottom of the shoe in. And what I meant earlier about getting the outsole is I like to just put a heavy black line because this may be lined with, some sort of rubber. For example, you can fade out right there. Just give it a heavier line, and then we'll add a kind of a drop shadow to the whole thing. I'll probably go over on the stream a little bit today, so hang with me. But I do want to know, would you rather see a flip-flop or some sort of futuristic weapon thing? Let's hear it. Let me know. All right, so there's my heavier line. And now maybe I'll put some text on this shoe. Just kind of junk text that maybe got printed on, because that's what all the cool kids are doing nowadays. Maybe I should call this shoe. And we can do it in all caps Helvetica with quote marks. Just kidding. I think this trend needs to die, but there are many trends that need to die. Okay, future weapon. All right, need to line weight some things in my life. I like that. Okay. So last thing, we'll just do shadow, and then I'll do a futuristic weapon sketch, which that one I'll definitely just keep. Let's do this way. Let's make a new layer, and I'm just going to paint a dot, and then I'm going to take this dot, and now I can move the dot, and I can scale the dot, and I can put it wherever I want it to be. So even something like that, fades to the sides, click off, and there we have our quick shoe. All right, so hopefully you guys learned something. Again, I will upload this to the folder. I just ask that you, if you do repost it, please give credit and don't steal it, because that's happened before. I've even had people like put my sketches in their portfolio. It's the wildest thing. And I've had people like, because I know a lot of people. I've had people contact me like, "Hey, I got this portfolio and it has your sketches in it. What's up? What gives?" Anyhow, so there you go. All right, so there's that one. I will definitely upload it. So let's do another file here. And you guys wanted some kind of futuristic weapon. So with that, a couple ways to start this. I'm gonna use a silhouetting method. Okay. So this is just a way, like sometimes if you're stuck in a rut or you want to just try something differently, it's about just blocking in some color, shape, value, that kind of thing, and then adding the details. So I may start with, just blocking in some shapes. We can drop some, oh, it crashed again. Drop some color in. They really need to fix this bug. Like, I don't know if any of you have experienced this with Procreate, but it's definitely definitely a bug, and I don't know what's happening. Did that actually work? Oh yeah, cool. Okay, so we'll just shade with the solid colors on this one. I kind of have an idea of what I want to do, so I'm gonna block this in like so, and then but I do want it in perspective, so we can distort this a little bit, like so, maybe warp. But again, it's just a quick way to modify your sketches, if you will. Yeah, so I may start with a shape like this, and then, we can crank the opacity down on that layer, or we could use different gray or whatever. The weapon is worn on your feet, actuated by your toes. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do whatever I want today. Because I had this idea for this thing that maybe had this like like where the cartridges are or whatever, that's or not cartridges, but the ammo is like this bulbous thing. So I kind of just like that idea. I'm gonna roll with it. All right, so now at this point I can take like maybe a thinner round brush that I was using. Kind of come in, add some details. Let's see, maybe this is where it I'm trying to avoid doing an actual outline on this one, but maybe that's where it kind of rests on your shoulder. Here's your trigger, grip of some sort. Maybe this is hollow. Yeah, maybe this needs to be hollow. We can cut that out right there, like so. Yeah, and then we can add this little portion here, trigger area. And like I said, maybe this is some bulbous thing, so we'd see the other side. Make it alien and have some organic parts to it. Okay. When you say organic, I'm not sure what you mean, but I'm going to assume that this is organically inspired, perhaps, but maybe not straight up made out of like organic things, if that makes sense. So here, since we are going with this organic theme, we'll pivot halfway through a drawing. We have some like connector pieces of some sort. That kind of thing. Start painting in on the inside here. All right. So it's kind of coming together. I'm digging it. Go a little lighter on the top here. So sometimes starting with your tone can be helpful or beneficial as well. Just helping you think a little more freely. And because I think ideas flow best when we can all just relax and chill and not be, totally stressed. At least for me. For me, that's how it is. I'm going to crank the opacity up because I need to pick this color. And then I'll push that back down. And let's just paint this in. All right, whatever. I'll deal with that later. So yeah, I was thinking maybe this is some like cartridge. That's a part of the gun. Maybe some rounded lighting crystals. Oh, that's a good idea. Let's see, rounded lighting crystal. Where could that go? About right here. Wrong layer. Yeah. Maybe there's some rounded thing right here. This is all connected to. You could have maybe two of them. Since it is alien, maybe a bit different on our little piece right there. Something like that. So once again, happy Friday. Hopefully you guys are having fun. We'll wrap this one up in just a few minutes. But if you missed the beginning, that's okay. It is and will be is recorded rather, and will be available. So feel free to check that out. I'm gonna take a sip of my Coke Zero here. All right. So on top of this, now I can come in. It's not even a solid black. I just want to kind of keep it gray, keep it light. Let's have some fun. Why can't I add a new layer? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Oh, there we go. New layer. Oh man, Spence got a sponsor on us. I have a sponsor. I don't have a sponsor. I don't think I do. What do you mean, Jason? So let's add some lines here. Yeah, I am not sponsored, but if you want to sponsor me, totally will. Oh, Coke Zero. Dang. I see what you mean. No, I mean if Coke wanted to sponsor me, that'd be something. Could be the official drink of like artists or something. Do you think they'd go for that? Okay, I'm not really loving that line, so let's think here. Just remembering, I got to keep it somewhat alien-like. But yeah, sometimes I like to work with grays or just solid colors first, and then this way I can maybe focus a bit more on just getting the idea down, and then afterward you can add the details you want to add where it makes sense. But once you have the basics down, the rest tends to be somewhat easy because you're not really fighting or focusing on that getting the right perspective and all that, because you can get the right perspective with your shaded in shapes first. It's just a matter of just being aware of that as you go. Man, today's gonna be a busy day for me, guys. I've got like 2 major projects to do. Actually, it's gonna be a busy weekend. So designing a device related to the smartphone industry right now, and then I've got another thing that's power generation related that I'm working on. So it's gonna be a busy time. But you should try this technique out though. Just get your grays down first, and then if you're into concept art or even drawing people or scenes or whatever, if you just want to quickly capture something, it's a great way to kind of do that. Coke Zero color theme. Should the ammo container thing here on the belly be like Coke Zero colors? What do you guys think? I'm gonna change this. We'll fix it in the background in a bit here. By it, I mean this, where the gray lines are going down, but I have these other lines going back at an angle. So I can fix that later. Just like that. So we're coming up on the last few minutes. So if you guys have any questions about life, the meaning of it, the universe, my life, whatever, feel free to kind of fire away. But if this is your first time, once again, I'm Spencer, industrial designer, love drawing, and I do this every Friday from 9 Pacific to around 10. We're a little bit over today, but that's okay. I think the first stream though we did, I'm way faster on paper. It's kind of my thing, so I think we did a lot more the first time. Digital always makes me want to be way more careful for some reason. It's like, it's just really hard to not want to get the thing perfect, you know, especially when you guys are watching. All right, now for the belly of this thing. Not sure what this substance is or what's growing in here, but needless to say, this is how this thing is powered, or at least where the projectile is generated. Okay, so on the front of this thing, you guys mentioned kind of organic. So what if part of this was actually like some sort of fleshy looking thing? It's like a meat gun or something. This video is definitely not for kids. We'll throw some quick color on this, I think. At least to identify areas or whatever, but I'm basically just trying to create a texture on this. So they actually, has it been hard to pick up work? No, I'm doing just fine. I would say probably back in the day when work was more location dependent. I mean, would it be better elsewhere? Probably, but I do like the cost of living here. It's pretty good. It's not bad at all. It's hard to beat. I have a house. My family lives nearby, so it's good. I kind of like this music. I mean, I'm not huge into EDM, or electronic music, but I'm liking it today. It's good. All right, let me combine these layers. Oops. Didn't mean to combine down. I wanted to merge down. And then now I can just erase a little bit here, a little bit there. Pick a color. Make some corrections, that kind of thing. Like I was talking about. And now we can maybe add some color. So I want to pick something that's kind of coral. Always a hard color to pick. Find. Okay, there we go. For the color scheme, try red, brown, red and white for the weapon. Red, brown, red, and white. I was going to go with like this pink color, at least for the fleshy bits. Or you can just keep it pink and gray. It's like a meat gun, an alien meat gun. Let's see. We've seen a few digital artists use mate folio above the screen to have paper-like drawing experience. So Svetlana is asking about texture on the screen. So what I actually do is I use, I guess we're using teal again. I use a matte screen protector. That's what I use. So that works for me. And I just try and find the cheapest one I can possibly find. So that's what I use. I'm getting hungry. I haven't eaten breakfast yet today. Which for some of you guys, you're like, breakfast? It's 5 o'clock here or whatever. All right. Let's get a little texture, our little meat spots. Maybe a bit of glow. You guys wanted some glow? I do quite a bit of, not quite a bit, I do some work for toy companies, which is always fun, and that's kind of where I get to do some of this type of drawing and stuff, in case you're wondering. So I have done some set design, concept art. I've been approached to do video game stuff. I just haven't done it yet. But toy design is pretty fun this way. It's like sometimes you can just do like absolutely crazy stuff, and just have fun and relax. You know, there's not a tons of constraints or anything like that. So aliens don't know pink is not intimidating. Yeah, exactly. They don't know that. How would they know, right? How would they know? Maybe pink is like the most terrifying color to them. And so that's what they use. Pink is like their red or yellow. All right. Kind of want to add just a couple highlight spots here. Just make this pop. So hopefully you guys caught most of the videos this week. If not, you got all weekend. But again, appreciate you being here, being fans, checking it out. Always blown away. And Friday is probably my favorite because I do get to interact with you live. Probably be hard to live stream every day. So once a week is what I'll do. And you guys know where I'm at, where I'll be, and when I'll be there, which is now. So thank you. So if you do like the brushes, or if you're curious or interested, remember to just go to sketchday.com/store, use the discount code first timer. That'll give you 20% off of anything in the store, or if you want to buy a poster today, so for whatever orders I get today, I will include a free set of these brushes. So that's another way to do it. If you're interested, if you've been eyeing that and are just curious, but it's probably one of the best places to support if you are so inclined to do that. So there you go. There's my quick alien gun. I'd probably do a couple more rounds of this if I were doing an actual like high fidelity presentation. But as a general rule, I don't like to spend a ton of time on my sketches. So this I would maybe count as one idea, and then you could almost take this, duplicate it. So I'll just show you real quick. So if I were doing this as a workflow, I would actually take this layer and then go duplicate this group of layers, I should say. And now I'm going to just flatten these, and we'll take our main sketch here, scale it. Now I can actually flip it over like so, and then take this group. Oops, wrong group. Oh shoot, I transformed the wrong thing there. All right, so I can take this one, flip it, scale it, and put it, say, at the top of the page here. Take my main group, we'll scale that, put it here, and I can even, rotate this one just ever so slightly. And now let's desaturate this sketch entirely so it's not competing with our main sketch. And let's say there's some attachment I want to put on this gun. I can do the same thing. Just take some gray and now paint over this to say, oh, okay, this is, oops. Let's make sure we're closed up here. Hopefully this works. Yes, it worked. So now I can do another design kind of on top of this, right? And we can come in and be like, oh, okay, so this is maybe some upgraded version of our weapon. Just a quick way to add another concept if we want. Slightly adjust the opacity, and then now I can take that stencil, come over this, do whatever it is I kind of want to do here. Maybe these connect or something. More RAM and Wi-Fi, yes, exactly. But I do this because I want to show you how easy it is, at least digitally. You can work so quickly nowadays. And again, I'm just doing this on my iPad, which is pretty convenient. I'm just going to pull this layer underneath. Okay, so now I can get in here, get some highlights where I want them, that kind of thing. Maybe add in some of those alien lines we had before. Maybe a little less meat, but it's there. It's still our meat gun. maybe just a little bit of color just to kind of help out. But that's how we can quickly kind of take one concept, just flip it, scale it, flip it, and reverse it. And then now we have another concept just like that. Okay. We can scale this, do whatever we want with it, and so forth. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, do I do more remote work, telecommunicating, or fly out? I do a kind of a mix of remote and local. So just depends. Okay. Thanks for joining. As always, a pleasure. I'll be here next Friday again. So set your reminders, whatever you do. But I will be here. Thank you. And again, if you, sorry, got the burps. If you want to use that code, like I said, it's a one-time use code, so 20% off anything in my store. That includes the PDF books that I've put together, as well as brushes and my 500 sketches poster that I created. So I'm still chipping away at my 500 challenge. I'm a little bit behind, but there'll be a volume 3 coming out soon, as well as my book on how I draw. So thanks, guys. We'll see you next Friday. I'm out. Good seeing you, Dwayne. Take care.